Hey there, it's Kimberly here with Knit for Brains, and today we're going to try to demystify all the different types of colored yarn. So hopefully we can make some sense out of all of this. So stay tuned. I did a video similar to this a long time ago about all the different types of colored yarn. Now I'm not talking solids, I'm talking everything else outside of that, because it's a really big world and it can be very confusing if you're using a tonal yarn or a variegated yarn, or what's the difference between a tonal and a gradient, or a speckled, or a color pooling, or an assigned. There's all different kinds of things. So I thought today we would just kind of dive in and look at some of the different types of yarn, and I'll show you some projects so you can kind of see how they work up. The first one I wanted to talk about is a variegated yarn. Now this is one that most people think about when they think of a colored yarn besides a solid. So the term variegated basically means, like when you look at a leaf of a plant and you see the different colors, that is a variegated leaf plant. It's also called multicolored. It's a yarn that's dyed with more than one color basically. It can produce effects depending on the technique, the pattern used, and the frequency of the color change. So variegated is sort of like the umbrella, if you will. And then we've got a bunch of subsets. So let's look at variegated to start with. So for instance, this is a variegated yarn. This is a wool, but you can see there's a lot of different colors in here. You've got the lighter blue going in the darker, the reds, the purples, the greens. All right. This is a project that I used with a variegated yarn. This is basically a granny square. Now, you don't know with a variegated yarn how the colors are really going to turn out. Even if I did a swatch, I wouldn't really be getting the full entire picture of all of this because the color changes are longer. This would be good in a striped sweater as well, or as a blanket, but it worked really well with this granny square because as you could see, the colors changed pretty much as I went around the rows. So it is somewhat of a specific amount of color change. It worked really well for this granny square because as you can see, there really wasn't a repeat in the colors, only until you get kind of here towards the outside that we started seeing that repeat. So I was really able to get the full scope, the full picture of all the beautiful colors that this yarn possessed. So this is a variegated yarn with long color changes. This is also a variegated yarn, probably with long color changes as well. This is also a variegated yarn. Now this is a LionBrand yarn and you can see the different colors. It's really easy to see how they break up and they're going from light to dark. This is called Strawberry Shortcake. So you see that these would be colors that would remind you of summer or a strawberry shortcake. Again, with those long colors. Now some people with something like this will actually cut the colors out and you can somewhat control what colors are going to show up and how much. So you can kind of control your project based on this. The best stitches to use for a variegated project is going to be something where the stitches are somewhat simple. You don't want them to take away from the color changes in the yarn. So something like a single or a double crochet, or maybe a moss stitch or a linen stitch would be really good. A granny square is really good. Anything like scarves or sweaters, something that has a big enough pattern that you can see the color changes and it's not going to look choppy. This is also a variegated yarn. Now this one here has a little bit of a tweed to it. Now tweed is more of the effect of the actual yarns, and what they do is within the yarn strands you've got a light and a dark, so it almost has like a candy cane stripe going on. This is a variegated. Again, you can see how the colors are transitioning. Maybe not as big transitions as in this line. These are both by LionBrand. This one has bigger color transitions than this one does, but this one has that added effect of the tweed, which is actually part of the yarn. Now, some designers will call this a stained glass look. In other words, the yarn will start out white. Sometimes it's black and white, and then you can see the different color variations in there. But these are all variegated yarns. again, shawls, scarves, sweaters, blankets, where you can see this whole gradient of color would be best to use for these kind of yarns. Now an ombre is another type of variegated yarn. With an ombre, you basically have the same tones or different tones of the same color block, and they shade into each other. They graduate from light to dark or dark to light. So terms like gradient and shaded are also going to be used in this category. Gradient is used when there's like a temperature or a color change. So if you're going from like a dark black to a gray, this is a gradient or an ombre yarn. It starts out looking something like this. So as you can see, it goes from the pink to the darker pink to more of the fuchsia into, or even the purple rather, than into the fuchsia. So this yarn is the same as this one, obviously just different colors. This was just like a scarf that I did. And as you can see, ombre works really, really well with this. Now I started out with the lighter color. So I started here from the inside and I worked my way out. So basically what happened here is what would happen here starting in the middle. Because I wanted some contrast at the end, I cut off some of the yarn I used in the beginning here in the very pale orange to make the tassels to give it the contrast from the end of the scarf. So here, once you get going, what's nice about this is the yarn just kind of does all the work by itself. You don't have to worry about any color changes, you just work it through. So here you can see we went from a light orange to a little bit of a darker orange. There's a little bit, you can actually see how the colors are graduating. Then I went into a darker orange, and then even down here, we've almost got a burnt orange. So the final effect, I think, is really cool. This is one of my favorite yarns to use. The thing about ombre, though, is it's best for shawls or scarves or blankets. It's best to use for a large project, and you're going to want to have to use the whole entire ball or skein of whatever you've got for it to really show all the true colors. If you're making something large like a blanket where maybe you would need more than one ball or skein, what I would usually recommend is use up all in the middle, use all the light colors of all the skeins, and then move into the different colors. Otherwise, and some people might appreciate this, you're going to go from light all the way to dark and then back out to light and then so forth. So you're going to have that repeat. So it really depends on what that finished product is that you're going to want to have. But with something like this, I just went from light all the way through to dark. So you could go from dark to light, but typically we go from the light into the dark. Another yarn that is one of my favorites is called color pooling. Now, you can buy a yarn that is actually color pooling where the yarn does all the work for you, or you can buy yarns and do your own calculations and own measurements and do your own color pooling. That is not something that I have done before. That is just a lot of work for my brain. This is a color pooling yarn that was done by an independent designer. The yarn was called Van Gogh's Starry Night, and the yarn did all the work. So I used a single crochet until I got up to the yellows, and I turned this into a bobble. This is a crocheted project. This was just one because I really wanted to show, to showcase the yellow. And I wanted it to look like Van Gogh's Starry Night. And that's pretty much how this looks. And you can see that I use those bobbles and I push them through on both sides so that it was more reversible. But every time I would come up to the yellow, I would do a bobble stitch. This is assigned color pooling. So what they do is when they dye the yarn, they have very specific measurements as to where this pop of color is going to go. This is another example from the same designer of color pooling yarn. So this one here is actually knitted, and there's two different ways that I'm actually showcasing the color pooling. So here you can see the bobbles, similar to what I did in the crochet, but this is actually knit, where you just knit, do stocking knit back and forth until you come up with a bobble, and then I would knit and purl back and forth, and then close it off at the end to get that bobble stitch. Another way that you can showcase color pooling yarn is something like this, where when you come up to the color, you do what I call a double elongated stitch, or you yarn over twice. so that when you come back across, those stitches are going to be a lot longer. And you can see here, it really kind of helps to highlight. It changes the shape of the pattern, the stitches, and therefore showcasing the color pooling. So this is actually, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can showcase color pooling, but the idea is that when you know you're using a color pooling yarn, you want to kind of plan your stitches so that you can really showcase the color pooling. So for instance, here and even on the other shawl, I used a very simple stitch. This is just a stocking knit stitch, or I used a single crochet so that I could really highlight the color pooling stitches when it came through. This is the same yarn, but instead of, this is basically just a crochet. And what I did here was a back stitch single crochet, and then I just did the bobble stitch when I came up to that color pooling. Now I might actually frog this and turn it into something else. I'm not super excited about this, but it's okay. But it does showcase the colors of the pooling. Now, a more readily available color pooling that's real popular right now is this Flower Power by Yarnspirations. And the idea is that if you follow along with the pattern and you make a granny square and you change the colors according to the instructions, you're going to make these granny squares with the flowers. So you can see here, and I love this yarn. It's very simple. It does all the color pooling for you. It starts with the gold in the middle. You pull from the center. That's what the instructions say. So you have to be very specific when you're using color pooling, that you follow the instructions or you follow the pattern to get the desired effect. So here you start with the yellow, you do the circle, and then you move on to the leaves, and then you do the outer square, and then you end up getting these really cool flowers. They have another one that was a granny square, all-in-one granny square, where you didn't have to change color. So those are different instances. Those are different examples of color pooling yarns. I think the best stitches to use for color pooling is, again, going to be something simple like a stocking knit, or in crochet, a moss stitch, a single crochet, or a double crochet, or maybe a granny stitch, depending on where those colors are going to be hitting. But again, you want something that's going to be very simple, that's not going to detract from the color pooling area, because that's really the star of the show on this particular yarn. Now, this yarn that's in these areas here is also a variegated yarn, but this is actually called a speckled yarn. So in the ball, it looks like this. It is variegated in the sense that the colors are, the color changing kind of go throughout. This is not a long color change. This is a short color change. So it's more of a speckled. Imagine if you were to have an egg that had like speckled markings on it. That's what we're looking at here. You can see it here in a knit stitch. The colors are very choppy and very short. And this one has a little bit of glitter in it. This one here is actually a basket stitch, again, highlighting the variegation. And then this one here is a little bit of it. This is more of a lattice stitch or a lace stitch, and this is more of a basket stitch. Again, you just want to highlight those yarns. Now, this is a variegated, but again, it is a speckled. Let me show you another example of a speckled yarn. So my Henrietta chicken here is going to be my example. I recently made her, and I just used a bunch of scrap yarns. So this gray right here is a long variegated. It's this yarn right here. So you can see the color changes are variegated. It's not a graduation. It doesn't go really from light to dark. It doesn't have that kind of organization to it. It's just gray and white, and it just kind of flips throughout. Different shades of gray, different shades of white. This here is another kind of variegated yarn, but this is more of a speckled or almost a tweed. If you look at it here, you could really see how it's gray and white all the way through. Similar to the yarn that I showed you originally where I said it was a tweed, and sometimes they call it a stained glass. That is the type of yarn that they use before they actually dye it. But this is basically the type, and you can see the stitches, the black and white, actually has a pattern to it. There is some kind of order and organization to it. So this yarn here, I used here. And you can see how this just looks a lot busier than this yarn right in here. This here is the variegated yarn, and this here is the speckled. And so we flip it over. This here is the speckled yarn here. It's very busy looking. When you see it next to each other contrasted, you can see that you can see it more clearly what we're talking about. This here is also a variegated yarn. Now this one here this is more like little splashes of color, whereas this one is more of a gradual shade. This one looks like it's just had color kind of thrown at it. But the desired effect is really kind of cool. So this yarn in here is where I'm using this. And you can see it's kind of that speckled. It's not as organized as this part over here. It's more artistic and kind of more of a mottled look here. So you can see how these three are very, very different yarns, but then put together, they actually can add their own really cool dimension. If you are going to do something like this, you're going to want to use, you can do this for blankets or scarves or tops. Because the color change and transition is so short, you can actually make smaller projects, different things like this. I couldn't use some of the longer pooling colors or the longer variations because you wouldn't really be able to see the whole entire thing in these small little sections. And it could look kind of piecemeally. So the next one that I'd like to show you is what we call self-striping yarn. Again, falls into the variegated family. This one here, the yarn does the work by itself, and you're getting those long stripes of color. So this is great for like blankets or sweaters or scarves. But if you're going to do a scarf, I would recommend, or I would have done it in a horizontal fashion than vertical back and forth, because that vertical would look kind of choppy because you're talking about a smaller piece. With the self-striping yarn, you want to have a bigger palette, a longer palette to show it off. So this is what this yarn looks like when it's in its cake form. The thing that you have to watch out with self-striping is if you are making something like a garment or a sweater, you want to try to match up your colors, at least your lines, as you can see here. So at least that they match up. All right, so these came off of the same ball, and because I wanted at least the sleeves to look similar, I made sure that these matched up as best you can. See, there they go. They don't have to match up over here, but I wanted the sleeves to look like they belong together. And you can see here, the colors kind of go along that way. And this again is a self-striping. Perfect for blankets, or if you're going to be making towels, housewares, or again, sweaters like this. And the last type of yarn that I wanted to talk about, which is not actually, I haven't done anything with it, is a tonal yarn. So tonal yarns are typically dyed by hand, and it's in a way that they create a subtle variation in the color, resulting in a single color but with different shades. So, and it was actually hard for me to find this in my stash. This is a tonal red yarn. This actually came from Hobbii Lobby, Yarnbee, and it's hand-dyed tonal. So you can see we have different shades of red, but they're all red. This is not a gradient. It's not going from light to dark. It is not a variegated where it's got different colors and whites and things popping through it. It is all red. So when you do it, you're going to go with a gradient but tonal, meaning it's all the same colors from light into dark. So there you have it. There is a lot of information out there. How do you figure it out? Honestly, the best thing to do, as much as I hate to do them, is do a swatch. Try to do like a 4-inch square swatch, and that's going to give you an idea of how these colors change. Because again, depending on the project, it's going to make a huge difference whether you're going to have short transitions or long transitions, and how that's really going to impact your final product. I hope this makes sense. Please comment below. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do. Like and subscribe, Kimberly with Knit for Brains. But let me know. I hope this helped you. Let me know if you have any comments. I'd love to hear them. Thanks so much for watching. This is Kimberly with Knit for Brains. And as always, I'll see you soon.